Welcome to Gym Back Talk podcast. I am your host, Ben. Good to be back. We've been busy with school, fighting crime, crying.
Who's Batman and Robin, I guess?
I'm Superman.
Maybe we can be like Wonder Woman and Captain... Oh, that's two different universes. We could be the Avengers, but like the new Avengers.
I feel like I'm so useless. I'd be like Aquaman in a desert. Yeah, I guess I'm strong and fast, and I kind of wear some like gold bling, but let's be honest, dude. This is not my prime element here.
You know what?
I didn't even introduce you. Vasiliy. Always beautiful.
Talking about always beautiful, there's no way Aquaman is not Steven Adams. Like, you cannot tell me.
No, I think that they're the one and the same.
Jason Momoa, I think that's the guy who actually plays Aquaman. No way. That is the exact same person. I'm fully in my head.
If you had someone watching Oklahoma right now, they'd be like, that's Aquaman.
Oh yeah, exactly. And if you don't know either of the two, look them up, and it's the exact same person. But yeah, man, it's been a while. Actually, feels nice to sit behind a mic and record.
I mean, it's been a hot minute.
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
yeah.
But with football slowing down, we only have the Blazers to talk about. It's not like we don't want to talk about the Blazers, but most of it's just profanity.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of cuss words, a lot of pants flying, and not the good kind of pants flying when we win.
Well, luckily enough, we found a spare set of clothing because the Blazers fans got robbed during this trade deadline.
Today was a very bittersweet day. A lot of stuff happened in the NBA, a lot of huge moves, but not by the Trailblazers, and that's what kind of hurts.
Yeah, it definitely does. Let's go through all the trades that happened for this year.
I'm excited. If anyone who knows me personally knows that trade deadline day, July 1st, this is better than Christmas, Thanksgiving for me.
I mean, we're no like Jehovah's Witnesses or anything, but we don't discriminate either. But for us, trade deadline, and then the day that the NBA starts.
Oh yeah, I think those are two top days for me, and
then you throw in like Thanksgiving for me. That's my three.
I would probably go July 4th.
Oh, okay, top three holidays.
Just because that's in the summer, not excluding these NBA ones.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna get us in trouble. I'm gonna go not in any order. Thanksgiving, July 4th, New Year's.
Yeah, I mean that's
like
big
Christmas
three.
and Easter are great, but I
don't know about your family, but for me, Easter is just Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean Easter. Yeah, we go to church.
Thanksgiving for spring.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right.
Anyways, back to the NBA.
Yes. So we have every trade that happened during the season up to the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, is basically buyout market.
Yeah, and that seems to be pretty dry. And for those who don't know who the buyout market is, it is guys who don't want to play for a team anymore that can buy out their contract.
Mm-hmm.
Expensive, yes. Sometimes worthwhile, yes. Enes Kanter did it last year. Worked out great.
Yeah, and then usually people on the buyout market are willing to play for cheap.
Exactly, and they tend to go to championship teams, the Lakers, the Clippers, who one of the two did make some big moves today.
Yeah. Well, let's start off with the very first one. Some of these we did cover in the past episodes, but December 23rd, Jazz acquired Jordan Clarkson for Deontay Exum, and then 2022 second round pick.
2 second round picks, yeah. So I mean, looking back at this deal, this was well over 2 months ago already. It's kind of a win-win. The Jordan Clarkson has been helping out the Jazz a lot. He's been that scoring punch, and it's kind of funny we say a lot because they've lost 6 in a row, which is really weird of the Jazz. Mm-hmm. They've been dropping games left and right to a battered Nuggets team, to the Blazers, which is kind of funny. But I still think that's kind of a dangerous team.
I think we look at them and we go, hey, like the Jazz are not doing too well at all. I don't think it's because of Jordan Clarkson. If anything, he's been helping them win the games when they would have won them in the past. It's just there's something.
I'm not a huge Rudy Gobert fan. I honestly, I'm not. I would say he's a top 10 center in the NBA, but he doesn't have the skill or he calls himself a defensive player of the game because he gets 4 blocks a game, but that's the same thing as calling Hassan Whiteside defensive player of the game.
Yeah, one thing I would say is he does edge himself into a better defensive position. He did get let's say a kind of a dagger block on Carmelo Anthony when he played against the Blazers.
Yeah, and he did have a game-winning block. That's a good point.
He has a trend to be a defensive player, I wouldn't say he's like a powerhouse like Kawhi defender or Paul George.
No, and the big man's become so extinct, and we saw that with moves this week, and we'll get to that. But teams like the Rockets don't have a center anymore. There's not a center on that roster, and they're one of the teams that Utah lost to during this losing streak without James Harden, without Russell Westbrook, and without Clint Capella. They just went small ball 5 and hit a whole bunch of threes.
Yeah.
And, having that said, I think Utah's still going to get it back together. I think they're still a top 5 team in the West. But this Jordan Clarkson deal definitely helped them. And with the Cavs, getting 2 second rounders is definitely valuable for a guy like Jordan Clarkson. And a guy in Dante Exum, who's a huge question mark and could still blossom in the NBA. I loved him coming out of into the draft.
Yeah, and then this was definitely a smoke fire saying the Cavs saying, "Hey, we're going to continue rebuilding. We're going to try something new." And a lot of people will think that second round picks are worthless. But if you look at it, if you're Masai Ujiri, whatever from the Raptors,
oh yeah,
you don't need a first or second. You just need undrafted players. That's all you need.
The guy loves a good second round pick. He loves his OG Anunobis and Pascal Siakams out there.
He's got his spreadsheets with all the numbers touted and everything.
But looking at this deal with the Cavs and the Jazz, it doesn't make sense with what they did today, and we'll get to that. But it doesn't make sense, and we'll get there.
Yeah, you're gonna have to explain that one to me. And then there's the trade the Hawks did with the Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves and Hawks were definitely the most active during this trade.
Oh yeah.
But this is Jeff Teague and then Trey Van Graham for Alan Crabb. This is just clearly clean up their books and everything, trying to get the most money.
For sure. And I think with the Hawks, having Jeff Teague come back to where he started his career and played really well for a good number of years. And he's actually been playing pretty well for them lately. I mean, he's sometimes getting minutes with Trae Young there. And he's a great backup point guard, especially for Trae Young. But I think it's another one of those things where the Timberwolves get Alan Crabb. And that contract expires this year. We can thank the Blazers for that, for signing a huge 5-year, $50 million deal to Alan Crabb 4 years ago. And a pretty low deal, but I think the Hawks definitely kind of win that trade in a player sense. And the Wolves get their numbers that they need.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think people listening to this have to understand that the NBA is a business. That's the number one thing. And when we get to the Blazers portion of this, you will totally understand why.
Man, I thought like those $60 jerseys and the $100 jerseys was all for charity. Man, I'm so confused.
I know. Yeah, I was writing those off on my taxes last night, and I guess I couldn't.
It's so weird, man.
I'll talk to the IRS later.
Yeah. And then the one that we talked about in depth was when the Kings acquired Kent Bazemore, Anthony Tolliver, who are dead to me, a couple picks, and we got Trevor Ariza, Caleb Swanigan, and Wenyen Gabriel.
So, I mean, we've had about 2 weeks to kind of let this trade settle in. I like it. I love that we have Trevor Ariza coming back for next year with not a lot of guaranteed money on his contract.
Yeah, like 1.8.
Exactly. And that's money that's going to help the Blazers with taxes because they're already at the cap. And obviously that's been an issue with the Blazers, kind of hindsight here. And he's played a lot better than Kent Bazemore and Anthony Tolliver have given us. And while he's been here, I think we're 7-2, 6-2.
Yeah, let me check.
Something like that. And he's played great. And Wenyen Gabriel, I believe, is going to turn into a stud one day. The dude locked down Anthony Davis for a good portion of that Lakers game. Has played really quality minutes. Caleb Swanigan is not the guy I want to back up Hassan Whiteside right now.
Blazers are 6-4.
6-4. Okay, well, that's better.
On a 1-game losing streak.
Okay, so 5 and we'll say 6-3. There you go. Yeah. We won't even count Denver in there. It'd be nice. But I like the move. Getting Trevor Ariza for next year definitely helps. And this year too, if the Blazers are definitely serious about this playoff run, 3 games out of the West, it's a deal that's going to help them get over the top. On the Kings side, it's a little weird. Don't you think?
It really is. I don't see why.
I think at the time they were thinking we can still be a playoff team. And I mean, Marvin Bagley's missed like 60 games this year. It's crazy. Yeah,
not only that, their entire team's been hurt. De'Aaron Fox got hurt early in the year. They got on a terrible
losing streak there.
So I think Kent Bazemore and Anthony Tolliver are more of a stop the bleeding right now. Like, they are veterans. They do know what's up. I wouldn't say they're productive veterans, but they are veterans.
And I do think it is one of those things where Trevor Ariza, they did sign him for the 2 years, where Kent Bazemore only has a 1-year deal. Same with Anthony Tolliver. So they get that off the books for next year, just in case the $12 million Ariza has on his contract is fully guaranteed. So in a business sense, that makes sense for them. And I mean,
Yeah, and then if you look at the numbers, the Kings have so many players that need extensions or need to be re-signed,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
didn't have the money for that. So Kent Bazemore and Anthony Tolliver does make that sense book-wise.
so I mean, good deal for both sides. But I do like, from a Trailblazers, fan standpoint, Trevor Ariza, great addition to the team.
Me personally, I was really surprised. I thought Trevor Ariza was like
A scrub already.
scrub, right? And then the way he played, you could definitely tell there's veterans of the game that like get passed around team to team, and I thought Trevor Ariza was one of them, where he's been like washed by like a million one.
Right.
So he comes on, and then you're like, oh, this guy doesn't understand anything we're doing, and he's still hooping.
Yeah.
Like his best game.
He's a dog.
His best game was that first game that he played with the Blazers.
I agree. It was
This
against
season.
the Mavs.
I'm happy for it.
No, I like it, and he's a good fit with Carmelo. So
Next one, Mavericks get Justin Patton. Never heard of this guy. Thunder acquire Isaiah Roby.
that's that. So that deal was kind of weird because a lot of people see those deals like, oh, this might be a setup for another deal. It did nothing. The Mavericks and the Thunder didn't make any trades for the rest of the year.
It literally seemed like they had a quota, and they're like, let's make a trade.
You guys bored? Yeah, exactly.
And
I guess the Mavs did make another trade. This next one, yeah.
Mavs acquired Willie Cauley-Stein, and the Warriors get the Jazz's 2020 second-round pick.
That's a steal. That is a steal for Cauley-Stein, a guy who we thought at the beginning of the year was going to be a huge part of the Warriors this season. Obviously, we didn't know Steph was going to get hurt. We didn't know a lot of things about the Warriors. But for a second-round pick,
which kind of makes me annoyed of what we did with our 2 seconds. But
oh man, I mean the fact that we have Blazer fans whining and complaining that, why, what's going on with the team? This is a perfect way to fix the deal. You could have offered one of your second round picks for Willie Cauley-Stein and then traded Whiteside's contract for that Kevin Love, for that Aaron Gordon, for that Gallo, and had that backup center. That would have been perfectly fine. That's an odd one. That's an odd one. But for the Mavs, good job. Dwight Powell obviously hurt, out for the rest of the year. Willie Cauley-Stein's a great center who's going to fit really well with Porzingis and Doncic.
Yeah, you got to admire the front office being like, hey, our main guy is down. We don't want Porzingis to play power forward all the time. I mean, center all the time, because they do have a tendency to get beat up.
Right.
And then they made a smart decision. They pulled the trigger quickly, efficiently, and boom, Willie Cauley-Stein. Great addition for most teams out there.
Great move by Dallas. Dallas is really setting themselves up for the future. I think that's another team that's going to have a very busy summer and it's going to get a lot better.
Oh, for sure. So, silence. Hiatus. Nothing. No word. Woj turned off his phone. Not because any secrets or anything. Just nothing going on. And then, February 5th, yesterday.
Just
40 players just got.
This was a nuke. This was a nuke, to say the least. This was something Woj went to North Korea, grabbed, and just quickly threw in Twitter.
When that tweet was coming out, I could literally hear Woj typing in.
Yeah. I don't even know where to begin. I think let's start with the Rockets, who they got.
Yeah.
So the Rockets said absolutely F centers. We're done with these guys. No more lobs, no more dunks. We're done.
It's funny because they've been one of the worst rebounding teams in NBA, and instead of going, let's try to fix this, they just,
that's fine.
Whatever. No, we're not gonna try to band-aid this. We're just gonna let it bleed out.
Which you can respect. Robert Covington is a very good basketball player, and I thought when they acquired Robert Covington and Jordan Bell is obviously not on the team due to another trade that happened. Robert Covington is going to shine, I believe, in Houston. We'll see tonight. They play the Lakers. But, I mean, could you imagine a lot, like, from a Blazers standpoint, the Blazers trying to guard Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Covington, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker? It's just not going to happen. Hassan Whiteside would get exposed. And the thing is, I think Marshawn Lynch said this best, and you kind of just said with the rebounding, like, I'm going to get got, but I'm going to get you more times than I get got.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch said that, by the way.
But
grammar totally off.
Like we said, almost every time we played against the Warriors, they live and die by the three.
Yeah.
If they are cold, like the 2 times we played against Harden, and some of his coldest streaks, going like 1 for
yeah.
And then Westbrook is obviously not a 3-point shooter by any means. He's shooting at like 28, 29%. Let him shoot.
And that's where the problem came in, because would you rather have Capella on your team or would you rather Westbrook? Because neither one of them is a good 3-point shooter. Capella by far none. And that's spacing issues right there when it comes to basketball terms. So one of them has to go, and it's definitely not going to be Westbrook. So
no, this is what happened. Capella's has that $14 million contract, maybe 12, I don't remember. But basically, he's sitting there trying to get the rebound, and Westbrook is taking the rebound from him.
Mm-hmm.
You think Mike D'Antoni?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why do we have this guy when Westbrook is taking on the rebound?
Is getting the rebounds. Exactly. And from a basketball point, it makes sense. And I do believe it's the Rockets' best chance of winning a championship, honestly. Because you have the Clippers going big. You have the Lakers going big. Portland's obviously going big because they decided to keep Hassan Whiteside. So when it comes to playoff basketball, it's a little different. Each possession matters a little bit more. But me personally, if I'm the Lakers, I'm a Lakers fan, I do not want to play the Rockets.
Me either.
But Atlanta was the one who received Clint Capella in that deal. That's an awesome deal for him. Just obviously the dead last in the NBA. But coming back next year with Trae Young, John Collins, Clint Capella, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, with a year under their belt, a number 1 draft pick possibly.
They have 3 first-round draft picks.
Are you kidding me?
Are
you kidding me?
3.
That is
they
a
traded
rebuild.
it somewhere in here. But yeah, the Hawks acquired Clint Capella and Nene. Nene and Clint Capella have been hurt. They have the same issues. I think that one has a knee, one has a heel, so they have issues with the leg. And I
think Nene was more of a money thing too, just to kind of like, all right, we'll take on Clint Capella for Nene, type of thing.
Yeah, there was a weird thing with Nene's contract where they gave him a really small, actual contract, and then his guarantee money
was pretty high.
Was pretty high, but they knew he would not get the guarantees. Like, hey, we know you have a torn Achilles, but if you sign this contract and you play all 82 games this year, we'll give you like a $5 million.
Right, and Nene's old news. The guy hasn't been relevant since Carmelo Anthony's been in Denver.
So there's a weird thing with his contract, and so I think,
But Clint Capella's the main story there,
yeah.
and that's a great move. I think that going forward, they have their center. Trae Young has his center. They're going to be dangerous, especially with those 3 first-round picks. Oh, my goodness. They have a chance to get maybe Anthony Edwards on that team, a guy coming out of the draft. Who knows? Maybe LaMelo Ball.
Or they can make a huge trade.
Yeah. That's maybe they get a Bradley Beal there for those picks. Something nuts. And obviously this was a 4-team trade. The Timberwolves, some lower tier players, but Malik Beasley's a very interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Juan Hernan-Gomez from Denver as well. I think those 2 guys are very underrated pieces, guys who can actually perform really well when they have the chance to.
Yeah, when they're obviously bench players, but they add tremendous depth to your bench.
And they got a first-round pick out of this too. The Nets' first-round pick, which is probably going to come to them because it's top 14 protected. I was a little confused about what the Nuggets were doing in this trade. I thought they were going to make another move. I guess getting Shabazz and Noah Vonleh in the first-round pick, that's what's kind of where the meat and bones is, because Shabazz is a great backup point guard. And we've seen Noah Vonleh here in Portland. He's pretty underrated. But you get a first-rounder out of it too.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some other minor players here, but the key ones in the Nuggets is acquiring that Shabazz, which is kind of crucial because Gary Harris has been having a pretty rough season. He's been having an injury.
Jamal Murray too.
Yeah, Jamal Murray and both Gary Harris have been hurt. And when that happens, they kind of stagnate, and then they have to work through Jokic way too much.
For sure.
And then having Noah Vonleh, we know what he's about. You'd be happier to see him stay on the team or come to your team than most players.
Exactly. But yeah, definitely Robert Covington and Clint Capella, the big ones there. We'll see how it turns out, especially for the Rockets.
It feels like every team here is a winner, though, for the most part.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
Especially Minnesota with this next trade we got coming up.
Yeah, okay. Then the 76ers acquired Lakers 2020 second-round pick.
For James Ennis. That's a pretty low move. Money move, maybe.
And you'll see why they did that down the road. But this is another big trade right here. Timberwolves acquired D'Angelo, Omari Spellman, and Jacob Evans. And the Warriors get Andrew Wiggins, the Timberwolves 21st first round pick, top 3 protected, and Timberwolves 2021 second round pick.
So a lot's happened since this trade. I saw that there was rumors where the Warriors just simply wanted to get rid of Russell. They just did not want him on the team anymore for the next summer. Why? I don't know. For Andrew Wiggins, I've heard kind of mixed reviews. Personally, I like it. It reminds me of Harrison Barnes back in the day when he played on that first championship team with the Warriors. I feel like he's still underrated. When you're playing basketball in Minnesota, trust me, it's not the funnest thing. Like, Kevin Garnett wanted to leave Minnesota. Karl Anthony Towns was on the verge of leaving Minnesota. Andrew Wiggins already had issues in Minnesota.
Jimmy Butler begged to leave.
Exactly. The list goes on and on. But it does feel like a win-win. There definitely will be a loser at some point in this trade in the future. But Karl Anthony Towns gets his guy in D'Angelo Russell. That 1-2 punch is going to be very good. They're not going to have any excuses anymore. That's going to be really interesting. But the Warriors to come back next year with Andrew Wiggins, Steph, Clay, Draymond, and that first round pick, that's amazing.
And, they might, who's that? Wiseman.
Yeah, James Wiseman as a center next year.
If they come away with Wiseman, dude,
I would be scared. I'd be terrified, and I would have the Blazers tank already.
Just have the Warriors have a bye all the way to the finals, and the entire season's gonna be who's in playing the
Warriors in the finals. Yeah, it's a scary thing, and it would have been even scarier if the Wolves gave up their first round pick this year. They gave up the first round pick next year, which could be even better in a sense because next year's draft looks pretty good as well. And the fact that what if this D'Angelo Russell cat thing doesn't work out and they just suck next year?
Yeah. Starting with the 76er trade, and from this point on, this was all today. So most of these trades actually happened like 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, they were flying off the press, yeah.
So the next trade that happened was the Hawks acquired Derek Walton Jr. and cash, and the Clippers acquired the Hawks 2022 second round pick, top 55 protected.
Yeah, just another deal where the Clippers are making room for another player that's going to get traded to them a little later on.
So this is what actually annoyed me a lot.
This is the biggest trade of the day by far. Mm-hmm. I'd agree.
So the Hawks acquire Skal Labissiere, whatever.
Our very own.
And cash. Almost $2 million. Trailblazers acquire the Hawks 2024 second round pick.
That's top 55 protected. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. Wow. This deal ticked me off beyond belief. Beyond belief. Do you want to start with it, or should I start ranting?
So, okay. I'll give some context. There was reports coming from the Trailblazer camp that Neil O'Shea was making calls not to trade Whiteside, not to make a big transaction to help us boost our playoff push, but to get underneath luxury
the tax base, yeah.
Which you're like, hey, they're only like $2 million over cap at luxury tax. Well, that $2 million tax turns into $6 million.
Tripled.
And then every set of $5 million that you're over, it escalates. Luckily, with the Trevor Ariza trade, we got closer to the luxury tax line, but we still weren't there. Mm-hmm. And the Skal trade was just for us to try to get underneath it.
So by far and none, what you're saying is that we have a team that is struggling, that has a superstar in his prime, averaging 60 freaking points a game for the past 8 games. Mm-hmm. And what our biggest priority this trade deadline was to not pay taxes on our team.
Not only that, we have, I would say, so much more expendable people. Like, we like Gabriel. That guy could have been sent somewhere. We have Swiggy.
We have this,
who has a bigger contract than Skal.
Right.
We have Whiteside, who has the fattest contract of any center right now.
And that's the part that gets me. You and I have listened to Neil O'Shea interviews far and none. So many since we've been Blazer fans, and every single year for the past, let's say the last 2 years, he's been saying, hey, we have these great expiring contracts that are valuable pieces that are going to be worth a lot. And when we finally have a chance to use them, like last summer, what do? We flip them for more expiring contracts with Cam Bazemore, Hassan Whiteside. We're like, oh, that's awesome. We get better players in return for Evan Turner, for Myers Leonard, for Harkless, and they're still expiring, so we could still use them at the deadline. This is amazing. And we did the exact opposite. We kept Whiteside. We don't have any money for next year. And what kind of players are we going to get for next year? Zero.
It's like we traded a balloon, like a flabby, unpressurized balloon, for a balloon ready to pop, and we just fizzed it out. There's no, we just lost all our air.
And the thing is, there are options, but the second this season is over, the second the NBA Finals games end, Hassan Whiteside is no longer a member of the Portland Trail Blazers. He is an unrestricted free agent. And I don't think a lot of Blazers players realize that. Fans. They're like, well, why? Whiteside's been playing so well and this and that. Well, no, we simply, he's gone. He's gone. And we can sign him, but then we're going way over the salary cap, and that makes no sense because we already have our starting center. His name is Yusuf Nurkic.
And you can say, well, they can both play with each other. Not really. We have
this is 2020 where you have the Houston Rockets playing without a guy over at 6'6" anymore. You can't start two bigs. And we can still sign and trade him. That's a very big option, but that's a huge risk because you're going to want, some other team's going to really want him, and Hassan Whiteside is going to have to be nice enough to sign with us and then get traded. So it's moving parties there, and anything can happen.
I think I don't think we get the bird rights with
Hassan. We should. But even then, do you seriously want to go? I understand if you're signing Kawhi Leonard, in the offseason, and you're going in the salary cap, totally fine. But this is Hassan Whiteside.
It's like, yeah, we can do a sign and trade, but it gets so much more complicated and such a more like a risky trade.
And maybe it is a good move. Maybe this year in the summer, since it's such a dry free agency period, teams are going to want to get better quick, and Neil O'Shea might want to take advantage of that by having a guy like Hassan Whiteside dangled there, like, hey, he's going to sign with us, but we can trade him to you.
Yeah, and maybe, like, we talked about maybe getting Gordon Hayward, just being like, hey, like, you guys need a center, we'll resign, we'll work with Whiteside, resign, you send us Hayward, we'll send you blah, blah.
I just can't believe nothing happened with him. I can't believe that all the guys we talked about are still on the same team. Danilo Gallinari didn't go anywhere. Blake Griffin obviously didn't go anywhere. Gordon Hayward is still there, and the Celtics still don't have a center, So it was an odd day, and teams we expected to get busy didn't, and teams out of left field kind of became championship teams overnight.
Yeah. And okay, let's go on to the next trade. We can talk about how Neil O'Shea is robbing the Blazers fan.
Con man.
We'll see.
We'll see. It's a very touchy subject.
So Wizards acquired Shabazz Napier, and Nuggets get Jordan McRae.
That's a weird one. So Jordan McRae's been playing really well for the Wizards, so I can see that for the Nuggets. And Shabazz, because Isaiah Thomas did get traded on later on today, is a great backup, like we said. So for John Wall coming back next year, that's a kind of a win-win there for both teams. But how about we also have the Sixers acquired Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson for 3 second-round picks.
This is what the thing that pissed me off was.
So are you kidding me? When we need, like, oh my goodness, when we need players to back up, to play the wings, and Alec Burks is available, and the Warriors traded him for 3 second-round picks, and Neil O'Shea just sat there.
No, like, I'm really curious what Neil O'Shea was doing. Did he not?
What did he do? Like, what? Did he just, like, have a great dinner with his family last night, slept in till 11:30? Oh, crap, the deadline's in 30 minutes.
Like, I don't know if your work or maybe your dad, like, was like this with you, but, like, if you come home and you saw, like, let's say, like, a potted plant fell over, you pick up the potted plant and you set it up.
Right.
And then your dad comes home, he's like, hey, there's, like, soil all over the ground. Like, you picked up the plant, good job, but you didn't do...
Right.
I feel like Neil O'Shea literally didn't do his job. I don't know how he let someone like Alec Burke walk away for so cheap. And you might be like, oh, well, this guy's a rookie, Well, he's hardly a rookie. He played so many years in G League, and the production that he was giving for the Warriors, amazing.
And the Cavs and Utah before. It doesn't make sense. I don't get how teams... And by the way, the Miami Heat were in the hard cap. So they were above the salary cap. They were pushing that tax line. The tax line that the Blazers are over, had no room to do anything, and still somehow got Andre Iguodala, Jay Crowder, and almost got a deal for freaking Danilo. Like, how do they manage to do that? And Neil O'Shea managed to somehow get his beauty sleep this morning. Crazy. It's just crazy.
So, Heat. I don't know if there's a award at the end of the year, NBA like front office of the year. Heat.
Yeah.
They got Iggy, they got Jay Crowder and Solomon Hill for a hurt Justin Winslow, Dion Waiters. The only thing I ever know about him is he's like getting high on a plane, and getting
off edibles,
and then
Gorgie
Dane. I'm pretty sure I ordered that at the local Chinese place.
And the Wolves kind of stepped in and got James Johnson there. Honestly, I don't know what the Wolves are doing. I think they were just simply trying to get rid of Dang's contract there because it's a very inflated contract. But the Grizzlies kind of became scarier too. Because when Justice Winslow gets healthy and you put him on that team already with John Morant, Dylan Brooks, DeAnthony Melton's been playing really great, Jaren Jackson, Valanciunas, that's kind of a scary team. If Dion Waiters finally decides to hop off the weed in Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, is it warm enough to grow anything up there?
I don't know. Tennessee, it's weird.
Yeah, John Morant is leading the Grizzlies to one of their first playoff runs in a while, in a hot minute.
If Justice Winslow gets back this season and gives them quality minutes, I don't think the Blazers catch up to the Grizzlies.
No.
I honestly don't. And it's really a win-win. And I love what the Heat did. Andre Iguodala is a guy who fits their system. I think personally a little overrated, and people are acting like he's a top 30 player in the NBA. No, he's not even top 75 anymore. But he's a guy that's going to help the Heat. Jay Crowder, I think, is going to help probably even more than he is. So, two good players, two good moves. Pairing with Jimmy Butler and what Miami's got going on, that's a little sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, great, A+ for the Heat on this trade.
I agree.
A+. And then Iggy was saying, hey, I didn't play all season. I was kind of messed up.
He says he's ready to go.
Yeah, he's ready to go. And this gap in the not playing, he's just recovering, focusing on his health. He said this extended his career by 2 or 3 years.
I guess we'll see, because he did sign an extension as well today for another 2 years.
So next trade, Rockets acquired Bruno
Caboclo. So this guy was supposed to be Giannis, who was a year away from being a year away and just never kind of materialized. Maybe that works for the Rockets. I don't know. I don't know why they got rid of Jordan Bell. I thought he was going to be their center. Honestly,
that's true. Yeah,
I honestly thought he was going to be that small ball lob catching center that they love. And I guess they said, really, no more centers in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Bell to the Grizzlies. I mean,
again, another underrated move by the Grizzlies. In a span of, Andre Iguodala didn't play a second for the Grizzlies. Not even a second.
He didn't even participate in practice or the preseason.
No, so for essentially Jay Crowder, the Grizzlies just got Justice Winslow, Gorgie Dang, Jordan Bell, Dion Waiters. Like, what? That's insane. That's bank robbery.
I don't get it either.
And Neil O'Shea slept in and had his egg sunny side up this morning. And Hassan Whiteside's still a Blazer.
All right, and then now we're getting into the Clippers. Clippers got Marcus Morris, who's been going off for the New York Knicks, and Isaiah Thomas. Unfortunately, there's rumors that Isaiah Thomas is going to be bought out or waived.
I hope he goes back to Boston. That'd be cool to see him back there.
Yeah.
Honestly. But Marcus Morris, man, must this suck to be the Lakers? Like, you lose out on Kawhi Leonard in the offseason. To who? The Clippers. You lose to, the Clippers twice this year. You have that rivalry between each other. When it's finally time to get a good piece on the deadline, who you lose out to? The Clippers, who get Marcus Morris, who you were happen to be after as well. And you look at what the asking price was from the Knicks for the Lakers, like, give us Kuzma, Caruso, and what's that one guy? Oh, Danny Green. And then the Clippers just give away Maurice Harkless and some picks. Like, that's kind of funny.
No, I don't even think it was. So first of all, Kyle Kuzma, he I guess he's on the up and up, but his contract is $2 million.
It is cheap.
you have to pack on a lot to make anything happen with him. So that's why they were probably asking for a Kyle Kuzma,
Right.
and like most likely Danny Green. And it's not like the Lakers have a lot of picks right now, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You know who has a lot of their picks? Clippers had them.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Lakers, I don't know, man. Maybe they wanted to keep Kuzma also because you see what Lonzo Ball's doing right now in New Orleans. You see Brandon Ingram's an all-star. Julius Randle, D'Angelo Russell, all guys that you had on your team that you just let go.
Yeah, and then the Wizards acquired Jerome Robinson.
Yeah. Yeah, good for you guys.
Anything that has Wizards in there, I'm like,
Does Marcus Morris push this over the top for you, for the Clippers to win the championship?
Not really. And the reason why is because, sure, they have Marcus Morris there, but the Lakers have Anthony Davis and LeBron, the two guys that can literally carry entire franchise on their back.
Yeah.
Kawhi and Paul George, they're great players. Obviously, top 5. With Paul George in there, probably top 7.
Right.
With Marcus Morris there, it does improve their odds and their chances, but it's like 55-45 in my eyes.
It's just another piece for them to throw at you. They're going to throw Kawhi. They're going to throw Paul. They're going to throw Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, Patrick Beverly, Marcus Morris. Now Zubac is giving them great minutes. They're a little scary.
Oh, they're for sure scary.
They're a little scary. I don't know how much better Morris is than Harkless, though.
Offensively, way better.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
Defensively,
they're close.
Close. But here's the reason why you want Marcus Morris. Let's say Alex Caruso gets shoved. All of a sudden, some hands start getting thrown. Marcus Morris, you know how he is. He's ready to throw.
That's another thing. Maybe the Clippers are just going to throw a whole bunch of bodies at you to get teed up. And then they still have enough bodies to finish a game and play a basketball game.
Yeah. And let's move on to... We're coming to the conclusion of all the trades here. It was actually a really, really slow deadline up to the last 2 hours. Last year, it literally felt like there was a big trade happening every day.
Yeah, and I think it's half the number of trades happened this year, which is odd.
Yeah, so Hawks get Dwayne Dedmon. He did request a trade from the Kings like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
They get the Rockets 2020 second round pick and the Heat's 2021 second round
pick. And the
pick.
Hawks are just acquiring pick after pick. Wow.
Like I don't think they understand that picks still win you championships.
Dude, at this rate, if they have 3 first rounders coming up with the guys they have,
I meant like number wise, like.
Well, yeah, soon.
Maybe they're like office just got confused. They go, hey, we have the most picks. We're like most favorite to. We've been picked to win the championship.
Who knows?
The Kings get Jabari Parker and Alex Len. Alex Len, meh. Jabari Parker, meh.
Interesting. It's weird because they obviously definitely want Riqwon Holmes around. The Kings love Harry Giles. They love Bagley. They just kind of had some issues this year, and it kind of sucks because this was a team who was supposed to make the playoffs this year. In a very similar situation that the Blazers are in right now.
I mean, the Blazers, the Kings, and the Warriors all injury ridden. All of them.
And I've always liked Jabari Parker. I'm sure Milwaukee still wishes they kept him around with Giannis right now, but maybe he's just another piece for the Kings. And it's kind of weird. Dwayne Dedmon goes back to Atlanta because now he's just going to be a backup center again.
Yeah.
So a little odd.
I mean, if he's healthy right now, he'll probably be getting minutes. But the second that Scal comes online, I doubt he's going to be playing behind him.
Well, Scal and Clint, yeah, that's an odd one.
And the final trade that happened today.
Massive one.
Contract-wise, for sure, too.
Mm-hmm.
Andre Drummond going to the Pistons and Brandon Knight and John Henson.
Mm-hmm. So, Kevin Love stayed on the Cavs. He didn't go to Portland. He didn't go to Phoenix. He didn't go to Denver. No one took him. Why? I don't know. Money. Is he the same player? Is he the same person? Who knows? Huge contract. But now all of a sudden the Cavs for next year, and I believe Andre Drummond has a player option for next year that he has the chance to opt into if he so chooses to.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't, he becomes a free agent. And that's a weird one because with the Pistons, wouldn't you kind of just hold him?
Yeah, I would try to hold him. He definitely expressed like, "Hey, I don't mind staying here."
Yeah, exactly.
But it's one thing to talk, but
he also sent out a tweet today and said that, "Hey, the Pistons never told me they were going to trade me. This came out of nowhere."
Yeah, I don't get why the Pistons did that. If you had to move someone, I would have done Blake Griffin.
Yeah, I mean, which would have been hard.
And I don't get why the Pistons didn't move.
But they kept Derrick Rose, and they kept Derrick Rose, who is an older player, injury history. With Andre Drummond, it's weird because for him personally, what do you do? Okay, your contract is expiring this year. You play on a very bad team in the Cavs, if he even barely plays there at all at this point.
Yeah.
And he's going to say, hey, I have a player option for $26 million coming up. That's $26 million guaranteed that I might not find anywhere else. Does he stay or does he go? Personally, I think he'll get that money somewhere else. I'm sure Charlotte will give it to him. I'm sure actually Charlotte's looking at the situation like, what? We'd have to give up anything for Andre Drummond, and he might become a free agent in the summer, and we got to just sign him? Oh, sign us up. Thank you, Cleveland.
That and Tristan Thompson, I think he's unrestricted as well.
Yeah, which is interesting, and he's not looking to get bought out, apparently, and he's going to stay there. So, but with the Pistons, you don't really get much back except for 2 second-round picks and Brandon Knight and John Henson, who are kind of worthless in this league.
Yeah, I mean, they get 1 second-round pick. They
get the least favorable? Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, I don't know what the Pistons are doing there. You're giving up a lot for a little. Who knows? But the thing is, so might be the Cavs. The Cavs might only get 2 more months of Andre Drummond, and that's it.
Yeah, the funny part is that there's a lot of big contracts expiring that they become free agents that will be centers. Mm-hmm. Whiteside, potentially. Mm-hmm. Andre Drummond. Now Tristan Thompson just came up. There's a lot of... Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, Celtics need a big center.
What if Andre Drummond goes to the Celtics somehow? Could you imagine that? Could you imagine all the things the Blazers could have done today differently or in the past month? It's weird, and what's happened has happened. We can't sit here and say, "Oh man, what the Blazers did this," because that time is over. Mm-hmm. For the Blazers going forward, currently there's 20 games left in the season, I believe. 19 actually, I think is the actual number, and the Blazers are 3 games back behind Memphis. That's a lot to ask for. That's a lot to ask for to come back 3 games down. I don't care how hot Dame is right now. That's going to be tough to get back. And now we're kind of in this limbo where I texted a buddy today. That is the worst place to be. It is the worst place to be. You either want to be a rebuilding team looking for the future, like Charlotte, like Atlanta, like OKC, who did wonderful rebuilds, and look at them now.
Yeah, and the worst part is some of those teams that are rebuilding, they have no way to get out of that rebuilding. They have to claw their way out. The Blazers had all the tools. They had the shovels. They had the ladder. We had big expiring contracts. We had draft picks. We had our first and our second round for this year.
Instead of clawing our way out, we just decided to dig our own hole and get right in it.
Yeah, they're like, we like it here.
And someday we might wake up from it. And the thing is, someday's not going to come around because Damian Lillard's 30 years old. CJ's 30 years old. They're not getting any younger. And this sucks. This sucks because the Blazers' chance to make the playoffs right now are low. Very low, realistically. Man, that's a bummer.
And the teams that we were in contention with, they just bulked up.
Exactly. And next year they're going to bulk up even more. When you look at the Warriors, I guarantee you the Lakers are going to make moves. I guarantee you the Clippers are going to make moves. The Suns are going to get, we can go on about the West. But the Blazers for next year, I can tell you their outlook right now. It's going to be Dame. It's going to be CJ. It's going to be Ariza. It's going to be Carmelo if we're lucky. And he said he wants to come back, but is it really worth it with Carmelo Anthony? You're going to have Yusuf Nurkic, who you're really banking on now. Anthony Simons hopefully gets better. Nazir Little. Collins back. Hood back. It's not the worst. It's not the worst. But you know what? It could have been one more piece. It could have been Kevin Love. It could have been Danilo Gallinari. It could have been even Blake Griffin coming back next year. And would you feel comfortable with everything I just said, plus one of those pieces coming back next year?
Yeah, I would be comfortable, but the problem I have with some of those players, they're like a cheesecake.
Explain.
So, you want a cheesecake, you want it really bad, and you've been thinking about it all day, and then you get a slice of cheesecake, you're like, this is really good. Put down a second cheesecake. And maybe you're fat at heart and not like me.
Right.
But eventually that cheesecake is too much cheesecake, and you're like...
Right.
Like...
It's not what you thought it was going to be.
It's not what I wanted it to be, and I didn't actually want cheesecake. I was just hungry the entire time.
Right.
So we're just hungry for a win. We just want hungry to have that 2018, 2019 season where we overachieved. Yeah. And
it's just simple mathematics. You know a guy is not going to come back to you. And again, the Blazers have a chance to prove us both wrong. Maybe we're just upset it didn't happen now. Maybe it happens in the summer where we get to move Whiteside. But we don't know that. Who knows that? Neil O'Shea definitely doesn't seem like he does. And I would definitely feel better about the Blazers if we did have one of those players coming back for next year. I would go all in, or I wouldn't go at all.
So, rumor has it that Neil O'Shea does not like being in a small market.
I've heard that too.
And Neil O'Shea grew up in New York. He likes the high class. He likes big city.
Yes, he would fail with the Knicks. Agreed. I knew you were going to get that right away. Yeah, because you have a crappy organization with a crappy general manager. Perfect fit.
I literally feel like we just got conned.
I would pay for the shipping.
I'd pay for the ticket. Just
yeah. Man,
I really want to have a statement of Neil O'Shea addressing why we did what we did, and that statement could be as simple as, "Hey, like."
But you know what that statement's going to be? He's going to come out. He's going to be like, the market was just not there for us. We tried, we made calls, we made deals, and we just couldn't do it. So we just decided to get under the tax.
No, he will say that, but I want to see him try to explain like why he kept the team.
I wish we were sitting right there while he explained it, and I wish we were there to ask those tough questions. Obviously, reporters can't ask the tough questions, but
I mean, I just imagine him being like, next question.
I would burn the guy a new one.
Like, I'm watching, like, we could have overpaid. And still gotten results. Like, we could have sent our first draft pick for Alec Burks. This draft class is complete garbage. What are we going to do with
number 14? There's no one available at 14. We got lucky with Nazir Little at 25 and one of the most loaded classes in history. Like, for crying out loud, this was the class of Zion.
So, because the way they changed their draft, the lottery pick, right now we have a 2.4% chance to get into the top 4. And we have a 0.5% getting number 1 pick.
And Golden State's 1, Cleveland's 2, Atlanta's 3. Wow.
So it's like, what are we doing here? Like, can we please tank, or can we try to acquire some decent players? And I know people are gonna get all hot and heavy with me about Whiteside. Whiteside is not good. He gets his double and he retires for the night.
No, exactly. The effort's not there. Nothing is there. Jokic just put on a flat-footed 30-point triple-double on him.
And, like, there's a reason why we had Scal closing out the fourth quarter. It's because Whiteside gets his double-double. He's like, okay, this is it. I'm done. The few times that he actually busted his chops and he's actually on the floor trying to get a loose ball, fighting for a rebound.
Blazers look good.
But when he's not, and we're losing. And so when we played against the Nuggets, that's what happened.
And even then, we can judge a player all we want because we're fans. That's our job to do so, to look at a player and say, this guy sucks, this guy doesn't. But we won't be able to do that next year because he won't be a Blazer next year. So why not get someone that will be, that we can have for next year? And we didn't do that. We still might in the summer. Chances are low, but we didn't do that.
Is to the point where it probably won't happen.
I agree.
Well, let me give you this scenario. The season ends, Whiteside looks around and goes, there's nowhere for me to go. There's Andre Drummond on the market. There's Tristan Thompson on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Blazers go, hey, we'll resign you for like
$2 million.
No, not even $2 million. I was going to say like $10 million.
Right. Okay. For like a 2-year contract.
Yeah, 2-year contract. Right. Or like a 1+1.
Yeah.
Like we did with Tolliver and Hazonia. We'll give you a 1+1.
If we make the playoffs this year with Whiteside and with Nurkic, maybe. And if we do good in the playoffs, maybe. But if we don't make the playoffs or anything, let Whiteside go.
Yeah, I agree.
If it works, it'll work. And you know who we're going to get to test that against? If we make the playoffs, Lakers in the first round. Who have Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard. They have all the bigs you want. So,
I mean, last time we played the Lakers, not last time, the few times we did, Whiteside got exposed.
Oh, tremendously. And
I mean, he had that one good game against the Lakers.
But that was first Lakers game after Kobe died. You know, that's a tough one
Yeah.
to compare with.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything about Kobe? We didn't
been
have
a
the
while.
podcast, but you know, a lot of people.
It still hits a little different. You know,
Yeah.
2 weeks have passed, and you know the NBA feels a little empty still. It sucks. It's very tragic. Not, I think anyone put in that situation or family put in the situation. You have a 41-year-old dad and a daughter who get lost in a helicopter. That's as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's Kobe Bryant or whether it's Joe next door.
No, that was really tough, and what makes it harder is it could have been Joe next door, but Kobe Bryant was doing so much good for the community, and just not within basketball, but outside as well.
Right, and just to see him grow up, because, you know, growing up as a Blazer fan for me, you used to hate Kobe.
Mhm.
You used to yell at Kobe on the TV. You used to say every word in the book until your parents would get you in trouble. And, you know, you used to see him win championships, beat Boston, and be that guy for so many years. The LeBron, the Kevin Durant, the Michael Jordan, really.
Yeah, and it's not that he would just beat teams; he'd do it hurt. And he would, I guess the biggest thing we have to thank Kobe for is bringing the winner mindset,
Yeah.
where you know you can be good, but you can always be better.
I think that's where it's really sad, because we got to see Kobe grow up, because we used to see that player that we hated on, that would mock the crowds and that, you know, but towards the end of his career, where he really just became this kind of figure and this icon for the NBA,
Mhm.
you know, I was surprised he wasn't a coach at this point, but he didn't want to. He wanted to spend time with his family.
Yeah, and this will segue into our next topic. You know, they're gonna honor Kobe in the All-Star games. The team LeBron's gonna wear the number 8 jersey
Mm-hmm.
or number 2,
Number 2 and 24 for the
Yeah.
other teams. Yeah.
and that's nice. And they're also changing some of the way the games are being played. No one understands how they're playing the All-Star game, so we're not gonna even talk about that. But they did change some things for the 3-point.
Oh yeah, they're adding 2 bombs in the back.
Yeah.
Right? So Dame better hit those.
Yeah, they're adding the Dame zone, which is by the logo.
I mean, I think that's kind of cool. I think the All-Star games are a little pushing it. I think there would have been better ways to honor Kobe, but at the end of the day, you know,
Mhm.
you're doing what you have to do. But the 3-point rules are cool. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So Damian Lillard's gonna be there. You know, some big names like Trae Young, Joe Harris is coming back to defend his title. You know, it'll be fun. Buddy Hield will be in there.
Duncan Robinson, I think, is a big
Yeah.
wild card.
So, and then they have the dunk contest. Some of the people you would think would be in there are not there. I was really hoping John Morant would be there.
Yeah, so we got Dwight Howard, Pat Connaughton, out of all people,
Aaron Gordon.
and I think Derrick Jones, who I think is gonna win it,
Surprisingly, Zach LaVine is not going to be there, even though
which is weird.
he
In his home team, the All-Star game, he didn't make it, obviously. By the way, I do think Bradley Beal should have been an All-Star,
I agree.
and Devin
Yeah.
Booker over Brendan Ingram.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to look at I think you have to look at consistency wise, and I think because Devin Booker has been hurt for a big chunk of not a big chunk, but a decent size of the year, I think that's what hurt
I
him.
think it was just kind of close enough where like, he could have won either way. But I'd say just put more people in the All-Star game I'd say get the rosters up to 15 each, honestly, in my personal opinion. And I think that every problem will be solved there.
Yeah, I mean, are you gonna watch? Are you gonna watch the All Star games? Like,
I might. It's usually not even a game. And this year sounds more like a charity kind of contest, you know, so we'll see.
I'll probably watch the 3-point contest for Dame.
I'll watch the dunk contest. I always want to
Watch
watch
the
a good
dunk.
dunk contest.
All Star game is just people making high rate.
Yeah, it's no defense, no nothing. But who knows? We'll see. I might be bored on Sunday night.
Yeah, if you see Steph Curry playing an All Star game and dunking, you know it's not a real game.
Yeah,
Like, let's be straight up.
that's a good point. This isn't JV scrimmage.
Anything else you want to add before we end the podcast?
No, I think we're good. We'll see what the Blazers do. 20 games left. Play the Spurs tonight.
Hopefully they won't take a win for that one.
Every game's a big one now.
Big win until you're not in the playoff race.
There you go.
All
That's
right.
our motto.
You guys can follow us on Instagram, Twitter. We're on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Might do a future contest, maybe not. We'll see about it. But hey, spread the word. Peace, guys.